guys, today we're at HubSpot HQ. We have Kipp Bodnar. Is that how you pronounce it, Kipp? Is that correct? Yep. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay.
Thanks for having me.
I've got Ricky there as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so you say you're on the third floor, so not too far to travel.
Yeah, you're like not too far from my little desk in the marketing area here. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Just for our viewers watching, then, can you give us a bit of background on yourself and how you ended up at HubSpot and how long have you been here?
Yes. Wow. So for me, I spent the early days of my career working at different marketing agencies for a long time. Basically, in the early days of online marketing, helping companies figure it all out. Back when inbound marketing wasn't a thing yet, and everybody was just trying to figure out how this internet thing was going to impact their marketing. And then I started a blog talking about social media and how companies could use it, and that led me to meet all the awesome folks at HubSpot. And I joined HubSpot March 2010. So over 7 years ago now. Company was like 90 employees at the time, and we were embarking on the journey of teaching everybody about inbound marketing, and it's been an awesome ride ever since.
We've got a few more colleagues here now then.
Yeah, a few more.
Yeah, so your position is CMO at the minute.
Yep.
And so where have you come from then, VP, or how's your progression been through the company? Have you just worked your way up?
Yeah, my very first job at HubSpot was I wrote the HubSpot blog for a while, for I think the first year, and then basically had every job, functional job in marketing other than design and coding and things you don't want me doing. Obviously, right? Like you don't want me touching any of that. And then it ended up I was VP of Demand Gen for a long time, helped us build out our global go-to-market, figure out how we go to markets like Europe and Asia and Latin America. And then now I'm CMO. It's a blast.
What would you say then? Bit of a broad question, but in your 7 years then, what's the most interesting project you've worked on, would you say?
The most interesting is always like kind of the newest interesting thing at the time. Like early days, it was like search engine optimization, social media, and then like now it's like video and Facebook Messenger and bots are like taking up a ton of my time, and then which we can talk a ton about. But like the thing that's probably the most fascinating, that was most foreign to me, was like our inbound conference. So we host a big event every fall called Inbound. Started with a few hundred people. Now it's over 19,000 people last year, and just like the scale of that, and like when you're somebody who deals in the digital world all the time, like to take a step back and spend all of that work and effort for a physical event is fascinating.
I think as digital marketers, like going out to events and taking the time out from reading blogs and ebooks and stuff to actually go to an event and learn is quite powerful.
But you need to reset your perspective sometimes. Sometimes you can get so focused on the content you're reading, the perspectives you're reading, that sometimes you just need to hear slightly different stuff in a different environment to kind of help true up like what you actually think about this thing, what your real perspective is about it.
This will be our 4th year out to Inbound this year.
Nice.
It's growing every year.
It's gonna be a fun year this year.
We're taking a big team this year for that reason.
Awesome.
We're investing a lot. As you know, the cost from the UK with the travel
it's not an easy thing to do. We appreciate it for sure.
We get so much out of it.
I think the content there is remarkable. We're so lucky to have a truly amazing host of speakers from across all the sessions.
Especially with the video equipment, we're going to be doing podcasts daily, inbound answers.
We're
just going to video everything, aren't we?
Let's do it.
Yeah, okay. You touched on bots then. We've had a podcast with Brian, and he's talking about AI, artificial intelligence, a lot of the bot work. But I mean, can you go into depth with that? What's happening there?
What should marketers know? What do marketers need to know?
Oh gosh, there's so many things to know. So I think if I'm a marketer today, the ways that marketing is changing in a few ways, right? Like we diversify from text content to video content. That video content is largely both search and social, right? YouTube's the second biggest search engine. So if you're distributing your video through YouTube, typically more tutorial, more how-to, longer length content is going to be found through search, kind of analogous to your traditional blog content. And then you've got like shorter, more entertaining, more practical video content that you're going to share on Facebook and Instagram, normally sub 60 seconds, that you're going to have the whole reach of your networking community on there. And so I think if you're a marketer today, you can't be successful without doing video like you guys are doing it. And think about what your primary mode of distribution is and kind of where in the funnel. There's some marketers I know who do a really great job with video, and it's really focused in the sales process, bottom of the funnel, helping convince their prospects. And that's awesome. And it's just being strategic about everything. And then I think a lot about like our messaging channels. Like email is kind of plateauing in its effectiveness. It'll always be a way that some people interact, but man, you could work really hard and optimize your email performance, and you might move like 0.5% on click-through rate, or maybe 1% on click-through rate, right? Like, you guys do this,
I'm agreeing. That's
where it's like, but if you go to something like Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, like the modern messaging channels, man, your click-through rates are 5x of email, 6x of email.
We were testing it. We always test ourselves before we do clients, so we signed up for a Facebook Messenger bot, got people subscribing, sent out a blast through it. It was, I'm sure it was 96%.
It was in the 90s.
Something like
open rates,
insane.
You probably had 15 to 20% click-through rates versus 2 to 3% on email, 4% maybe. UK, maybe people in the UK like email more. I'm not sure exactly, but
that's exactly right.
And so like, man, that's like it's a freaking massive difference, right? And it's like
spoke to you last year.
It's like it's going to be the way that most of us communicate. It's one of the folks on my team, I think, said it best. He was basically like, Facebook is the community infrastructure of our time, and Messenger is the best way to interact and drive engagement awareness on Facebook. And if you're going to be in the Facebook game, you have to be in the Messenger game. And then aside from Messenger, you have the whole the bot layer, right? Because messaging and bots are different, right? Like you can send somebody a message without a bot, like you just talked about, but bots can, I look at email, I look about all the first generation of email marketing. It's like, man, we were doing our best to guess, right? We were like, oh, okay, this is my persona. I'm going to do some stuff that I think is really good for them. I think this is what they need right now, and I'm going to give it to them. And we'd send that email off, and then they'd see it a few hours later, and then they would either agree or disagree with us, and you could kind of tell by your click-through rates and your engagement rates. Now you don't have to guess anymore. You can use a bot in Facebook Messenger, and WhatsApp, and Slack, and the person can get what they need. And sometimes what they need is to get right to a human, and that's fine. The bot can get them to a human and do that, but sometimes it's like, I just want what I want really fast. And a bot can deliver that far better than a lot of other communications. I think of like Messenger and WhatsApp and those conversational UI applications. It's like kind of like the terminal of how you interact. Like we had Windows, and then we had Internet Explorer as the next terminal. You built web apps on top of Internet Explorer, and then you had iOS, and you built mobile applications on iOS. Now you have Chat OS essentially, and bots are the application layer on top of that. And so you're going to have both utility bots, things like our growth bot product, where somebody's going to have a reoccurring use case, have a diverse set of things that they're going to use on a daily or weekly basis, and then you're going to have what I'd call transactional bots, which are just basically, hey, I want to download this thing, or I want to just schedule a quick meeting, or I want to do this very one specific thing, and I want to do it well with a really low friction. And there'll be a place for those too.
I can imagine a lot of in-house marketers get quite scared when things like chatbots are talked about a lot, because
for sure,
most of it, like Inbound's 11 years old, and I think in-house a lot of people just getting to grips with it, and we're doing great with smashing blogs and ebooks. It's doing great, but everyone's saying we need to move on now.
Let's go. Video.
Keep going, and thinking, right, I've got to learn something completely new. Where would you recommend people? How do people get started with chatbots? Like, where to go? I know I think I use something called ManyChat or something like that. Just download it, like really low friction, easy to play with version. And just how to play. Really.
So there's an emerging sector of tools. There's a tool called ChatFuel. There's a tool called Motion.ai. Tool called Flow.xo. Those are a couple of the kind of the core applications you can use there. We've basically done our own integration with Motion.ai and HubSpot, and so we can take everything we know about somebody on the HubSpot contact record, and like my chatbot can greet you by your first name because I have it in my contact record, or my chatbot can know that you looked at our pricing page because I have that in my contact record, right? And what's going to happen is the same thing that happened in email, is that people are going to do it all in isolation, and it's going to be very impersonal in the early days, and that's what we want to avoid.
That's what I was worried about.
You need to, but if you can rely on the 360 view you have of somebody through all their interactions with you, and then apply it to the engagement medium that they now feel the most comfortable with, the most in tune with, then you can create a really valuable experience for them and like create trust with them very early on.
Personalization. And Brian touched on that as well. So What are the tactics? What are the projects you've got going on at the minute? What are the exciting
So much stuff. We just launched a big Facebook contest called Summer Startup.
I saw this. Yeah.
So we've got a contest where basically you enter 25 words or less around what was the dream company you've always wanted to start, and we're going to select some finalists, do a second round, and then the winner's going to get $100,000, some HubSpot software, some expert mentoring and coaching to go and stop doing the thing that they don't want to do anymore and do something that they really want to do. And for us, it's like huge opportunity to apply some goodwill back to the startup community. It's also a great way for us to build awareness for the brand through Facebook. It's, I think our videos had
I was looking
like three-quarters of a million views. I think we've had over 5,000 people enter so far in the first.
Wow.
We're about 72 hours in right now, 3 hours in, or 3 days in. So it's going really well, and like I think it's a good example of things that like modern marketers are going to need to do. Quick 60-second video layered with the contest in social to a core part of their community, right? And so I think that's some practical tips for everybody watching.
Was that your idea, or is that a communal idea, or?
So we actually have somebody who runs all of our like brand and social campaigns, and that was his idea. His name's Ryan. He did an awesome job, and we were kicking around a bunch of ideas, and that one was one that kind of stuck, and took it from there.
Imagine if we had that to start our agency. I mean, we started obviously from our bedrooms.
We totally.
No money.
Beg, steal and borrow,
and,
you sometimes do it better that way.
Yeah.
It makes you appreciate it for sure.
Oh, God, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So your focus in the next 6 to 12 months then is what we've talked about, or will you move on to other things?
Is HubSpot still very focused on the blog, the traffic, the leads, the ebooks, the form fill? Is that still the churn of HubSpot? Is that still the big focus, or are you trying to move the focus a bit more away from it?
If I look at marketing at HubSpot, right, which is like kind of my domain, I look at our job is to lead the next evolution of marketing, and email marketing, blogging, all those things actually still work. It still works great.
Right, exactly.
And like if you're a marketer out there, you should do them. There's just some new tools in the tool belt, and they're still actually very early on. Most people kind of want to do video, but they're uncertain of their strategy, their technology stack, everything. Similar with messaging, similar with bots, on-site chat, things like that, right? And so our job is to teach the world about those. And so, we had a post go live today on the HubSpot blog around 3 experiments we ran around Facebook Messenger and chatbots, right? And so we're going to be spending the next 6 to 12 months really deeply focused in trying to call all these new round of changes for marketers and give them clear strategies and playbooks to go and execute. And we're going to do that by doing it ourselves and learning a bunch, and then hopefully inspiring some folks and getting the opportunity to learn back from them, from the work they're doing.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we had a chat with Luke. We went to lunch with Luke Summerfield earlier, and he said exactly the same thing. His big focus at the minute is the agency playbooks, getting the strategy in place.
Yeah.
And, so it's good to see. Brian touched on that as well. So it's a company-wide educational push in a way.
Yeah. Every time you have a lot of human behavior change, you've got to adapt to it, crystallize it, and help communicate it to the world. And I think that's always been our promise to the community, is that like, hey, we're going to learn stuff. We're going to try to learn stuff as fast or faster than anybody else, and put you in the driver's seat to be successful as you need it, as your business is growing and adopting new stuff.
We've been talking a lot about how the marketer's scope is just getting bigger.
Yeah, totally.
When HubSpot launched HubSpot Sales, we found ourselves, look, we're a bunch of marketers, and now we're having conversations about sales and helping enable that. And I think a lot of people are going that way. And how have you seen your scope change from being very focused on, like you say, blogging and SEO to does HubSpot allow you to get involved in the experience for customers from the sales side and the website, and does marketing's influence?
It's interesting, right? Marketing sets the tone for everything else, right? Everybody kind of has to follow the lead of marketing. They're kind of the leading edge of any business, and so I think some of the changes I've seen is that, man, marketing has a big impact through the entire customer experience, through sales, through customer success and customer service, right? And I see more of it. We see more of that all the time. How do we better set expectations with our prospects? How do we help our customers get more value, discover new use cases, new products that they have available to them to use, right? And I think, 10 years ago, marketing was like, oh, let's figure out how to do some blogging,
Yeah.
and it might work,
Yeah.
right? Because even back then, it was like this nascent thing, and
Yeah.
now it's like, oh, we figured a bunch of stuff out, and that's working really well. Now there's a new wave of stuff to figure out.
You're so true, Ricky. We're a marketing agency, an SEO company now. We've got a video department. We have developers and designers doing their thing, sales enablement. This is why we have so many questions about the future. Us as business owners and marketeers.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's happening next so we can prepare?
Regardless, it sounds like you're very well prepared and very much tuned into how user behaviors change, and part of it is like being ready when new things happen, right? Like there's a bunch of this stuff that's still uncertain and very speculative. We've talked a lot about the past couple weeks about like around the cryptocurrency market, because you've had high fluctuations in things like Ethereum and everything. It's like, I have no idea if Ethereum and Bitcoin will ever be anything. It's 100% speculative. I know that is a technology, and like cryptocurrency and blockchain is a massive disruptive technology and will be a huge part of our future. Like, I think most people who have done enough research can agree on that. I don't think I have any clue if those are going to be the currencies that we use in the future. And so there's some aspect that translates to marketing, right? There's sometimes where like Facebook Messenger is a way over 1 billion people communicate. It's going to be an important marketing channel. I think we're still figuring out the right playbooks, the right strategies to actually that are successful. We're going to have some that aren't successful, and we need to set up values and keep the prospect and the customer in mind the whole time and treat them correctly.
It's a fine balance in marketing between constantly learning and getting distracted by shiny new objects.
Totally.
This might completely revolutionise your whole industry, or you might put a load of time into it and it might do nothing. How does HubSpot manage that? Because I imagine you've got thousands and thousands of ideas in HubSpot and ways people want to go, but you've got a very proven process that works. And why do you choose to invest your time?
Yeah, no, I look at it as like, from a marketing perspective, there's results that I need to achieve every single month, and I want to do those, and I have a playbook of things that work. But like, one of the things I know for certain is that every marketing tactic eventually fails. Eventually stops working because of
marketers spoil it.
Yeah, commoditation pressure. Got a good Medium article coming next week on that. Keep your eyes peeled. We'll put it in the show notes here.
We will do.
So, like for me, it's relying enough on the tried and true and overachieving on that, so that you have the ability to achieve your goals in a way that you still have a little bit of time to discover new things. Because I know that one of these things that I'm doing now is going to stop working 3 months, 6 months, 2 years from now, and I'm going to need to have some different playbooks. I'm going to need to evolve.
You don't be reactive.
And so I want to make whatever investments I can to start learning that, because when you do learn that ahead of time, and when you're the first mover advantage in marketing is
huge,
exponentially higher than like anything else, and your click-through rates on Facebook Messenger, where you're at 15-20% now, in 18 to 24 months they'll be 3 to 5%, 6%,
going down towards email rates, won't they?
Over time, right? But man, all the work that you do tomorrow, the next month, massive growth opportunity for you.
Completely agree. It's hard because we're still trying to convince prospects that B2B people are in Facebook. You can't believe you're saying these conversations, but you're having them, and you don't almost believe me that...
I got some lines for you. One, there's never been a platform that 1 billion people have used ever that has not been like dramatically impactful for marketing. Ever.
Next time we have that meeting, what happens weekly, we're just going to take this video clip and just press play.
But really, no, ever. I promise. I have thought more about this than 99% of humans, and it just never happened. It is just never happened. And if you don't believe me, go fly to Singapore, fly to Tokyo, fly to Seoul, fly to Hong Kong. Everything is being discussed, communicated, negotiated over WhatsApp, Line, WeChat, or Facebook Messenger.
They'll say to us weekly, my clients won't be in Facebook. LinkedIn, that's it. LinkedIn, and we're just, come on.
And the cost per acquisition difference on Facebook.
It's exponential. Exponential. It's sub-optimizing is what it's doing.
And like you say, in 12 months' time, you're going to start losing that kind of advantage of how cheap Facebook is. We've run campaigns recently, and still still amazing me. It's sub £1 per click. I'm like, it's absolutely insane.
Fear is the enemy of like great marketing.
Yeah,
your fear of paying too much, or your fear of not working.
Yeah.
Gosh, like half your marketing shouldn't work, right? Yeah. Like if you have 100% hit rate on your marketing, then like, wow, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. Like you're leaving a ton of money on the table, and that's just impractical.
So true. I was watching a Gary Vaynerchuk video last week, and he said, put small bets on all these new channels, and if they don't work, walk away.
Yeah. And be prepared, like you say, to build something that's gone in 3, 4, 5 years as well, and reap the rewards while they're there. Because Gary Vee talks a lot about, he's put a lot of time into building his Twitter account. That might be redundant in a few years. It might not be.
It might be.
Yeah, exactly.
You never know. What you need to know is, hey, human behavior always evolves and always changes. Yeah. And if you bet on how that behavior is evolving, and you bet early enough, you're going to be exponentially successful than everybody else. Like that's the constant in all of this, and that behavior is driven by technological trends and innovations. It's driven by marketers doing bad things and pushing people out of things because the experience is no longer what it needs to be. And like, quite frankly, it's driven by like our lives. Like one of the reasons you people out there who don't believe in Facebook Messenger, for example, like people just don't have the time to do it the other way. Yeah. They need the answer they need, and they need it now. Yeah. They don't have the time to wait and go check their email. Like the lag is just everything has to be near instant now.
The time they're prepared to wait is just shrinking.
And their frustration around waiting has never been higher.
Exactly.
Though the wait times have never been shorter.
Yeah.
Right? Like, think about that. That's crazy. And then you're, like, asking people to wait. You're asking people, like, one, if you're using LinkedIn ads, like, so, like, the one time a week when they go on LinkedIn versus the 5 times a day they go on Facebook. And that's not a lot on LinkedIn. It's a great product. Yeah. But there's just different use cases there.
Yeah, exactly.
Then, like, you're making them wait. And you can't make them wait. Yeah. You're not going to be a successful business if you make your prospects or your customers wait in today's economy.
One thing we've discussed a lot recently is our persona who we target is very similar to yours. It's the in-house marketer manager type persona. And I always imagine getting in their shoes where they're thinking, right, I've got to learn ads on social. I've got to learn video, and I've got to study chatbots. I've got all of this to do. Am I better as a marketer being a marketer who's a generalist and learns everything, or am I better being someone who's just really good on one thing? If you were early in your marketing career again, and you could be a generalist marketer or a specialist marketer, which way would you go?
I think you need to be great at a small number of things. I don't think you could be great at just one thing.
No, because you used to be able to do that, didn't you?
I think you used to be able to be very focused and great at one aspect of marketing. I don't think you'd be that. No. And I don't think you can be so shallow and go across all aspects of marketing. I think you have to be truly great at like 2 to 4 aspects of marketing, and that might be content creation plus analytics, or that might be content creation plus engagement, whether it be chat or messaging or email, whatever that may be, right? And I think that is where you're going to have to go. And you might just have a role where for the first few years of your career, this year I'm going to really focus on this. And the next year I'm going to focus on this. And you don't have to try to be great at those 4 things all at once, but you have to know that things are going to culminate in that kind of deep yet broad enough pocket of knowledge.
And where do you recommend people go to learn? Obviously, HubSpot, they're the masters of this. The HubSpot blog.
Got lots of great content.
The HubSpot Academy, Inbound.
Bias, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, you're the master of that. That's obviously going to HubSpot for all of those things.
Sure.
Out of the HubSpot ecosphere, what do you like to read? Where do you learn?
I learn from a bunch of places. I love books.
Yeah.
Books are like super valuable. Yeah. Like they're digging in on especially emerging topics. And behavior being via books is like an underrated thing. I absorb a lot of info from podcasts now.
Yeah.
I read. I'm a paid subscriber to Ben Thompson's newsletter. I don't know if you guys know who Ben Thompson is. Stratechery.com.
Yeah.
So he's an awesome business strategist, and so I pay him an annual fee so I can get all of his great content. It's totally worth it. And then I basically have a bunch of curated feeds that I use across Twitter, across Flipboard, across a few different kind of news consumption apps. that kind of consolidate a lot of the core marketing publications, business publications, everything. It's about having an infrastructure of learning that works for you, right? That if you have to go out to a bunch of different websites, you have to filter through all of these different email newsletters, it's a little clunky. It's like, give yourself a workflow that allows you to learn in bits and pieces when you have the free time in your day to do that.
We were saying that we're self-learners as well, and we're on the flight yesterday. I said, I'd love to just learn every day, all day. And just,
Totally.
just do
that
it.
was your job.
That was my job,
Yeah,
and we love it that much, but I'm afraid there's business and there's HR and there's all this shit.
Well, part of learning is the practical application of learning, right? And that's why we have jobs, so that we can go from the theoretical to the practical.
Well, leading on from Ricky's question, what percentage of your week or month is down to learning? Or percentage of your day, would you say?
I bet you, depending on the day, I'm somewhere in like the 15 to 20% learning.
Yeah, and we target ourselves similar, don't we? Which is interesting. I think we talk about this a lot when we're hiring marketers. That's the quality you look for. Is do people want to learn now? Because if you think you've come out of uni or you've finished your study and that's it, those days are gone, aren't they? You can't come out of uni with a marketing degree and you can do marketing for the rest of your life.
Curiosity is a core trait of a great marketer, right? If they're if they have an endless curiosity, they're going to be a self-learner. They're going to seek out problems. They're not going to be content with just doing something the same way over and over. And doing something the same way over and over is the fastest way to fail as a marketer.
Yeah, it is, definitely. If you could like summarize your learnings of being at HubSpot, kind of from writing blogs to going where you are, what's the one thing you've learned that's really core that you'd like to pass on to other people?
One thing,
the secret sauce.
What's the secret to kind of being a successful successful marketing career?
I had a couple of things. Like, one, like, people make all the difference, right? If you're a leader, hiring great people makes all the difference. Yeah. If you are an individual contributor, having great peers makes all the difference. Like, having amazing people to learn from, reflect with, bounce ideas off of is incredible. And then I think if you're a marketer, like, you gotta place some freaking bets. You have to have some conviction. You have to say, like, I know this to be true. Yeah. Like, just go through the thought exercise of, like, well, what do I know to be true? Okay. I know that there's all these people doing this. I know there's a high overlap with those people in my customer base. I know that there's a big opportunity there that's untapped. And, like, you have to go figure it out. You have to be okay operating in a pioneer kind of way and understand that there's going to be a bunch of stuff that isn't figured out. But in doing so, you're going to learn immensely, but you also have the opportunity to be immensely successful.
That's great. I mean, you give us so many more tips, but we'd just like to round this off now. Any more tips for marketing professionals out there? Anything
what
you could just
give us? What should they be focusing on today? What tactic? If they're doing the standard inbound marketing playbook, they're doing that fantastically well. One tip of one thing to go away and implement in the next 6 months. Which one would it be? If you had to pick from bots and video and social ads and all of that.
It totally depends on your business. Obviously, I think for me to be a catch-all would be a little rash. I would say, you know, if you have the gene for creating content, you're doing content well. I think making the leap to video is a natural extension, and you're going to see a lot of success there. That being said, if the flip side of that is like maybe you're great middle of the funnel marketers and you're great at email, and like the jump to something like Facebook Messenger is going to be a little bit more comfortable for you. And so part of your success is stretching your comfort zone just enough. Like you're not completely like frustrated and like it's this big jump that you can't make, but it's like, oh, I know in theory how to solve these types of problems. I'm just going to go and solve a new type of problem. But those would definitely be a couple of areas where I would spend some time and focus.
Absolutely brilliant.
Fantastic.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Appreciate you for having me. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Hope you enjoyed.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.